Hey, greetings, Paper Demons. I almost forgot to unmute there. Welcome to the Paper Dispatch live stream. I see a lot of people are in the chat there. Hi, Suki, Wavern Toots, Ford, Cpran, welcome to the stream. So we've got quite a few things we want to cover today in today's stream. I see some comments about the music. I thought I'd share a link to that. I'll share that in the chat. This was created by Ludwig. I don't know if you guys know the streamer Ludwig, but he created this copyright-free music. So since you guys had an interest in it, I thought I'd share that. That's music that's safe to stream, which is why I was using it. No copyright strikes on that. So a few things. We're running our Haunts of the Paperverse event. It just started maybe a week ago. We've got a whole series of events that are coming out. It begins with these 3 events. 3 of the portals have been haunted. So there are special prompts where we're doing something a little different, making it a little more interesting, where there's goals to find the cure in Faden, to craft cure potions. You got to figure out what the correct recipe is. Yes, it's basically copyright-friendly Animal Crossing, yes. You've got to defeat the Marauders in Pavia and also scope out the Spectre and Eventide Ring. So definitely check that out. You'll find this stuff here in the inn. So once you log in, just click on the inn on the left and you'll get in there. So if you're new to the Paper Demon community, welcome. Paper Demon is an art role-playing game starring your original character. Let me adjust this browser window for you real quick. So if you're new to the community, I could explain to you what it is. It's a game that stars your original character. You create a character sheet with your drawing of your own OC. And you complete art challenges, you gain loot, you level up your character. Challenges have interesting, unique mechanics. You could work together with other members of the community to take down bosses and complete challenges. So it's a lot of fun. Check it out. There's a cool video too that kind of explains how it works. So yeah, that's what PaperDemon Art RPG is. There's links to that in the description below, so definitely check that out. Okay, back to our agenda. What did we want to talk about here? Okay, so at the end of this stream, I'm going to do a raffle. So you guys got to remind me, because sometimes I forget. I think last time Cpran was like, hey, what about that raffle? So, okay, we got a lot of stuff to go over today. I'm going to share a link to Haunts of the Paperverse in the chat too, just in case you want to check that out as well. But a link to Haunts of the Paperverse is also in the description. Okay, I should have changed my desktop background. Anyway, okay, we've got, before I get into like the main topic that I want to talk about, I do want to say some new stuff is coming out for Halloween. Within the next day, you're going to see an announcement with new items you can craft. If you've been participating in any of the events within the last 2 weeks, you should be getting some Halloween themed drops and crafting materials. You'll be able to craft some new items very shortly. So we're working out the mechanics for those and getting those live within the next few days. So keep an eye out for an announcement. We'll also link to that in the Discord if you're in the Discord. So the main topic of today is I want to talk about the announcement we made last week. Last week we publicly announced that Paper Demon is going to be ending our art RPG hosting services. This announcement does not apply to the Paper Demon role-playing game. So Paper Demon's own art RPG, that's created by me and the staff of Paper Demon. That game is owned by us. We are continuing to invest in that game and create new content for that game. So that game is not going away. It's the one I just told you what it is. That is here to stay. What many people may not understand is that Paper Demon also hosts other community-created art role-playing games. So we've been hosting other games for about 4 years. Some of those games include Dragons of Akella, Nomchromancy, let's see, Kim's Dragon Hatchery, Giatoros, Isle of Fangs, and Tales from Equestria. So those games have been hosted with us on and off, or some of them have been newer ones that have joined us over the last year. But we've decided to end our hosting service, and I'm happy to take questions on that. But first, I want to kind of get through some basic information about that announcement. I made a public announcement. Let me pull that up. Where's my public announcement on this? There we go. So we made a public announcement, and I tried to keep it short because I know people don't like to read. So I want to explain what we're kind of doing for these games and why we decided to close our hosting services, because we had a lot of reasons why it wasn't quite working for us. And I know it can be confusing, so I just wanted to kind of go over this with the community and take input and answer your questions because it's a big deal. So if you are a player of one of these games, there's a few things you need to know. For one, your account is going to be fine. We're not removing your account. We're not removing any of your art submissions. So art and writing that you upload will remain. Your character sheets, though, are considered owned by the game and will be removed. In terms of like the actual art image and stuff, like you have to figure out what the rules are with that game. Some games are closed species, so they consider the character art to be owned by them. You'll have to check with the game to figure out what the rules are concerning that. But character sheets and item inventories for those games I mentioned are going to be removed in 6 months. So we're giving all these games 6 months to find new hosting. So we're not like giving them no warning. We're giving them 6 months warning. So they have plenty of time to figure out a new hosting solution and come up with something. Maybe they'll go to Lorekeeper. Lorekeeper is a very popular open source option. You still have to spend money on it because it is something that requires a hosting service of some kind. So that is an option available to these ARPGs, or they'll just work on Discord only, or they'll set up like a Wix site or whatever. We've provided some resources to these games to kind of help them figure out what to do next. So we do recommend you make copies of your stuff, like your character sheets and your item inventories. You might want to take screenshots or something just so you have records. You'll also have to check with each game because some games have decided to shut down. I know Nomchromancy at one point had said they might close. I don't know if they're closing now or in 6 months or what. So you'll have to check their Discord and see what the announcements are. So it's really sad to hear that some games are closing, and I want to talk a little bit more about that after I get through some of this other information. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about in here? Additionally, like most of the games that are hosted with us have been paying a monthly fee. They are not being charged from this point on, so their hosting is free for the next 6 months. We realize like with a lot of these games, they're community led, they're hobbies, so having the hosting situation change on them can be like a really stressful thing. So we at least wanted to take away some of the pressure with the financials, so at least like they can set up with new hosting or whatever and not be paying for 2 services at once. Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about our philosophy of why we started hosting and why we thought it was a cool idea. So when we started hosting, I'm going to just bring up here all the different games that are hosted with us. When we started ARPG hosting, it was as a way to like kind of help us financially, to support the services we provide, not only as an art community, but for our own art RPG and for the hosting costs associated with running our own server. So it was a way for us to be like, to like just basically generate other income. But it was also like the vision was going to be like, hey, this is a great way that we can provide a great experience for players because they don't have to sign up on a bunch of different websites. It's like once you're on one, you have access to all the games with us. So it was a nice way that we could kind of exchange players and make other players aware of all the different games and promote one another, and provide a really good experience for players for seeing their item inventories and that kind of thing. At the time that we started building out our ARPG, we were building out ARPG features anyway, and a game came to us and said, like, hey, we're looking for a new home. Lore Keeper isn't a good fit for us. We would like to host with you guys. So we worked something out with them. That was BogusRed back in 2020. And so we formed a partnership with them. They, at the time, were a pretty large ARPG. They had a lot of characters and data and queue like requests that they had to process, and we were able to provide like a pretty good experience for their admins and players to help them to process their game. And so what we were hoping is that we would find other large ARPGs to partner with. That was our original goal, was to get more large games like BogusRed. But unfortunately, like, we really struggled to find other ARPGs that wanted to host with us. A lot of ARPGs had issues in 2020 because that was when most games were hosted on DeviantArt, and DeviantArt made a bunch of changes that made it difficult for them to run their games. So people were looking for new options. A lot of people went to Lore Keeper. A lot of people set up their own thing in Discord, or somehow figured out a way to continue working with DeviantArt or whatever. So we're doing some combination of things. So we really struggled to find larger ARPGs to host with us, so it was difficult for us to financially make it work. And when we had new games come to join us, they were usually smaller, and they wouldn't stick around. So a lot of ARPGs, like I said, are hobbies, and it's really difficult to start and maintain a game, creating new content on a consistent basis, keep your queues up to date. It's a lot of work, and not everyone is able to do that. Things come up, people get sick, people lose their staff, their volunteers, whatever. And so what we've noticed over the last 4 years of hosting games, we've seen games come and go frequently. Another reason that we thought we could provide a really good experience for games was that they wouldn't have to do anything technical at all to get set up. Because we are providing like they call it software as a service, where you don't have to install anything, you don't have to buy a server or rent a server or anything like that. You just pay us a monthly fee and you get on our website and can run your game. So we thought this would be like a much easier way for games to get started, because they didn't have to have any technical knowledge, they don't have to hire a developer, they don't have to install plugins, anything like that. So we thought it would be like a really easy way for ARPGs to kind of join us, because there's not a lot of complication with setting things up. So we thought our solution had some really good benefits compared to some alternatives. But unfortunately, like I said, it was difficult for us to generate enough revenue to make it worth it for us to continue, not just because the amount of revenue we were getting was low, but there is time involved with me supporting these ARPGs and building out features for them and maintaining the existing code for them. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I haven't noticed anything in the chat, so if you could just say something in the chat to tell me that you are still there, that'd be great. I'm going to pop in to see my stream health real quick too. It says excellent connection. Okay, I think it's still working. It could also be people tuned out because I'm talking a lot. Okay, Hermitbug says it's fine. Thank you. Okay, so we've also had a lot of challenges with hosting other ARPGs that have been really stressful and time consuming for not just me, but the mods. Oh, you're honestly louder than usual. Okay, good. Yeah, my software's showing that my mic volume is pretty good. So, what was I saying? Thanks, by the way, guys. Thank you for telling me. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Yes. We had a lot of challenges in terms of community management. So, is anyone here active in other ARPGs outside of PaperDemon? If you let me know in the chat if there's any other games you play or if you're active in any other games. If you've been around the block with ARPGs, you know sometimes conflict comes up. There's drama that happens. And community management is a really hard thing to do. People get upset about things and they get very attached to things. They get opinionated. And sometimes conflict happens. And sometimes people break rules and they don't treat each other with respect. And if you've been around PaperDemon long enough, you know how important our community guidelines are to people, or community guidelines are to us, I should say. Sorry about that. Part of what makes PaperDemon special to me and what we do differently is that this is intended to be a safe space for neurodivergent people. And really what that comes down to is we do not tolerate bullying at all. If someone is being a jerk, we yeet them out of this community. And we take that really seriously. Now, we do understand that people that are neurodiverse can sometimes come across as rude, and misunderstandings happen. And we are totally tolerant of that. And we discuss that with those who might be having some minor conflicts in the community, and we work those things out, and we are understanding of that. What I'm talking about is when someone is intentionally being mean to other people, calling them out in front of other people and saying how horrible this person is, that is not tolerated in this community at all. And that is very important to me. Unfortunately, conflict has come up in some prior ARPGs hosted with us. To be clear, none of this has happened with the ARPGs that are hosted with us now. But prior ARPGs that were hosted with us had problems where either the players or the ARPGs themselves had conflict that involved people getting really nasty. And so we have had to kick out 3 ARPGs hosted with us because of this. Now, unfortunately, as a fallout of that, when that happens, sometimes the players of these games are not notified why they were removed from PaperDemon, and the games may not be fully honest with why they are not on PaperDemon anymore. And we don't always make a public statement when a game is removed, or we may not name names. We try to be respectful. Even if we decide we're no longer hosting with another game, we try to really be respectful with how we handle it. And people end up getting really mad at us because we kicked off the game that they're playing. And understandably so that they would be upset, because now this ARPG has to figure out a different solution for hosting their game. Now, to be clear, every time we have a game hosted with us and we end the contract with them, we give them an export of their data to help them to move to something else. So it's not like they lose everything. So they get exports of all their characters, all their items, all the player inventories, all the character item inventories, that stuff, point records, and etc. So, and we're doing the same for all the games that are going to be moving off of us soon. We're giving them tools and data, to help them to move. Excuse me, I got the burps right now. So where was I? We've had a lot of challenges with enforcing our community guidelines because people have trouble acting and behaving respectfully toward other people. And when that happens, we don't tolerate it and we remove people from the community. And when that sometimes that happens in such a serious way that it involves the removal of the game because the staff themselves are struggling to follow these rules. I want to make it clear that when a game hosts with us, we do a lot of vetting beforehand before they can host. So we check their social media to make sure that there's no toxic content or behavior on their social media. We ask around to see if there's any known drama going in that community. We meet with the ARPG and say hey, our community guidelines are really important to us. Can you please read them? Can you please confirm that you and your staff can follow this? When we do go forward with hosting, we make them sign a contract, and that contract has a specific language in it saying, hey, you have to follow these guidelines. If you or your staff do not follow it, we may remove your game from the community. So we make it painfully clear up front before a game hosts with us that they have to treat others with respect, that they can't be assholes. Okay? So there's no excuse for not knowing what the rules are, and still people are having trouble following that, and that is why we've had to remove other communities. Now, when a situation comes up, our staff has to spend the time to investigate and listen to the different sides of the conflict and determine what's going on and who is possibly breaking community guidelines. And sometimes it's both sides. Sometimes it's, the staff on one side. Sometimes it's the players, whatever. And so we have to take action on it, whether we take action against the players who are themselves not following community guidelines or the owners of the game. And this whole process, we try to be thorough and we try to listen to both sides and take in the information and make a fair judgment. And it's very time consuming to do it properly. And it's also very stressful because sometimes one side is really angry and wants to do things that are, they want to be jerks. So it's very stressful. We don't want to do it anymore. We don't like spending time doing this. I think it would be different if we had enough revenue from the games hosting with us that we could hire someone specifically to do this so that me and the other mods don't have to deal with it. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, it is extremely stressful. And I don't want to play that game anymore. And neither does my staff. They haven't complained about it, but I know that it takes a toll. And I do not want to deal with it anymore. And there's also a lot of fallout that happens as a consequence. We've had ARPG games who are interested in hosting with us, who are really excited, who saw our features. They talked to us and they said, hey, we're interested in hosting with you. And then they get word from someone who really dislikes PaperDemon because of some of the past stuff that's happened. Tell them hey, don't host with them. And then they spread misinformation about what actually happened. And so it's really difficult for us to kind of maintain an accurate representation of our reputation. Well, I'm sure that's the true for a lot of businesses. There's always going to be haters. So, I can't do anything about them. But the point that I'm trying to make is no matter what happens, when there's a conflict with an ARPG, PaperDemon loses. So if staff from a game are not acting respectfully, if we keep them on our platform, we are, what's the right word? We are allowing toxic behavior to fester if we leave them on the platform. If we kick them off, toxic behavior continues outside of our platform and then damages our reputation. the players get upset, right? So there's no way for us to really come out. It basically, it hurts PaperDemon either way. And so, like, there's a lot, I have a lot of reasons. I can talk for a long time about why this has been like a huge challenge for us. I think I also mentioned too that RPGs kind of come and go, and games will sign up with us. They'll say their game is ready to play. We set them up, and there's not enough content there for anyone to play, and then we're pointing players to play their game. So it's like a really poor experience for the players who come to PaperDemon to play art RPGs, and they come in and the game is dead. Like, that's not a great experience. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say on this topic. Just checking my notes here. But yeah, let's see. There were also technical reasons. We've gotten some feedback from players of the PaperDemon Art RPG that they want stuff to be more dynamic and interactive and have challenges that are dependent upon the character's stats. And that is all fantastic, and we totally want to do that. The challenge is, like, art RPGs tend to be fairly static. And when we build out these more engaging and interactive features, it's going to be really hard to maintain, to basically build this in a way that would either be compatible with what the other ARPGs are doing, or like it would be extra work to do things in a way that works for all the games. So, or do things special for PaperDemon Art RPG and then do something else for the other hosted art RPGs. So it's basically, we've gotten to a threshold point where we want to do a bunch more advanced stuff, and it would be extra work to try and do all that and meet the needs of the hosted ARPGs. Quick question here from Suki. Are the counters for the haunts, are they server-wide or player? They're server-wide. So the goal is for the total of players to defeat 30 marauders. Yeah. Brand mentions they play Cookery. I hear that's a really cool ARPG. Anyway, so I've kind of listed all the reasons. So, I want you guys to know too, like, PaperDemon's not yet profitable. We really want to get to a point where we're at least breaking even. So for us, I think we have to make smart decisions that is for the greater benefit of PaperDemon, and sometimes that means making tough choices. This was not an easy choice to make to end hosting. We know that this is something that is hard for the other ARPGs, so that's why we're trying to do what we can to ease the transition. As I said, we're giving them 6 months to help them, and doing what we can to help them move elsewhere. I think we can still support the ARPG community in other ways. Like I said, one of the reasons why we thought this was a cool idea was we could cross-promote one another. And we can still do that even if the games aren't hosted on our website. So we now have changed our hosting page to now be an affiliate page. So now we can expand this to include link swaps with other games, regardless of where they are. You know, if they're on Toy House or DeviantArt or Lore Keeper or whatever, or, you know, on topic question, are you going to keep doing the partnership events? What are you referring to? Are you referring to like the crossover events like we did with Dragons of Akella, or are you talking about like the Champions of the Summer Rose thing with Green Ronin? So we can build out this directory and include link swaps with a lot of other ARPGs now, so we can do more than what we could before because we're not restricting this list to just games that are hosted with us. So we're hoping to maintain a relationship with all of these ARPGs and continue to share links and promote one another. So Green Ronin crossover, I don't know if we're going to do another crossover like that. We're not planning one in the near future. I think we have to kind of take a look at the participation rates for that event compared to others. I think right now my instinct is to just focus on doing our own stuff right now because we have plans for a lot of new content that we want to do first. So I think realistically we're probably not going to do another crossover event for probably another year because we have our own we want to focus on doing our own stuff for a while. But if you have thoughts on that, I really should have sent out a survey after the Blue Rose event ended. I don't know if it's too late to do that because people have kind of forgotten about it, but if you've got feedback on that, feel free to toss it into the Discord on the Blue Rose event because, you know, that can help us inform what we do in the future. Okay, any questions you guys have about us deciding to end ARPG hosting? I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. I know that was a lot of information I just threw at you. So I'm happy to answer your questions and clarify anything that maybe wasn't clear. And I do want to also tell you that this was emotionally difficult for the staff because we really wanted to be here to support the ARPG community and help this community grow. And we knew that this could result in the closure of some ARPGs, and we're really, really sad that that happened. It's not how we wanted to do things. It's not the result that we wanted. It's just that we are trying to protect ourselves, and we can't continue to basically work without compensation. The games are paying a monthly fee, but it just isn't enough total to cover the expense of the time investment to support these games. I don't know how to pronounce your name. EIA? EIA says, I think developing the current portals and lore is a good priority. Yeah, so we're going to be expanding and reworking the current portals and adding missions and guilds. So we got a lot of stuff that's planned. We're going to be busy for a while. Fumbling Narwhal says, I'm excited to see what y'all put out next. The original ideas really are inspiring. Yay! Glad to hear something good. There should be a PaperDemon Inktober next year. We used to do things like Inktober before we had the art RPG. And I think we decided to do our own thing. I think we're probably going to add things kind of like Inktober, where it's a one-word prompt. when we do PvP battle. So we're planning to expand at some point, probably next year. I don't think we're going to get it out this year. PvP, where you can put your characters against one another. And because it's a back and forth thing, we thought that would be a good time to do a one-word prompt type of thing, where it randomly gives you a one-word prompt that you have to do with your character. Because it doesn't really make sense in a PvP sense to give you a predetermined set of like longer prompts like we do with boss fights. So we thought that would be a good chance to do like a one-word prompt. But you guys let me know what you think. Let's see if there's anything else in my notes I wanted to cover. If you guys don't have questions on the hosting, let me know if there's certain topics you'd like us to go over in future Paper Dispatch episodes. I'm open to suggestions. I'm also open to any other questions, comments, concerns you guys have about the hosting or otherwise. We don't have to discuss that. Mostly I've seen from within the PaperDemon community, response has been, I haven't seen too much concern. There was some misinformation being spread by some people. And I want to clarify too, when we decided to end the hosting, we privately met with all the ARPGs first. Excuse me. And we were planning to do a coordinated announcement a week later. So what we wanted to do was, we knew that this announcement was going to be stressful for players to hear. So we thought the best way to announce it would be if all of us prepared statements for each of our games to say, hey, this is what's happening, here's what we're planning to do, don't panic, don't worry, things are okay, we will figure this out. And so that was the plan we discussed when we all met. However, someone leaked the information, and then we had to scramble and make the public statement because people were spreading misinformation immediately. So we were not able to wait a week for everyone to put a public statement out. So our statement had to go out first, and then the other games had to put together their statements kind of in a scramble. So I apologize for that. That was not what we wanted to do. Suki agrees with doing the Inktober. A little Tober would be cool as an event thing where you could do smaller submissions for 2 or 3 AP. Let me make a note. Rattober. I have not heard of that one. I know there's a lot of Tober events. Yeah, I think we could roll something like that into PvP. Maybe every month we rotate out the PvP prompts to be themed, kind of similar to like Inktober, like where there's a daily prompt or something. I don't know. Make this a note of this. I think that would be fun. Yeah, when we first started gamifying PaperDemon, we were trying to gamify existing challenges out there, like Inktober and that kind of stuff. So that was a direction that we started off in, and then decided to do our own lore and prompts and stuff like that. Okay, guys, we're gonna do a raffle. So if you guys could put your PaperDemon usernames in the chat, you can win a chance to have 25 tokens. Let's see, where is my wheel? Put your usernames in the chat. I'm not seeing questions about the hosting thing, so, or comments. So I'm assuming you guys all don't really have concerns or not. But you can always, if you've got something privately you want to ask, you can email support@paperdemon.com, or you can open up a ticket in the Discord. There's a report to mod channel, I think, where you can click a button to open up a private channel with the mods, and it includes me, so I can answer questions that way as well. Okay, I think I got everyone. Okay, last chance to get your name in. All right, we're spinning. Boop, 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 boop. Who's it gonna be? Docrin, congratulations! You won 25 tokens. What am I drinking? A Coke Zero. All right, thanks everyone for hanging out on the stream. If you have suggestions for future discussions or topics for Paper Dispatch, please let me know in the Discord. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and end the stream then. Okay, bye everyone. Bye Cpran, Fumbling Narwhal, Hermit Bug, Island, Docrin, Wyvern Toots, Lulabelle, Fordandra. Thank you for joining the stream. I will see you in the next one or in the Discord. Bye! Bye bye. See you later.